Crystal.
I'm Annie.
And we are the Lyraearthproject.
So today we're discussing the idea of, are we here in an Earth school learning lessons for our soul's evolution, or has the system been hijacked and we are now currently living in a prison planet? So when we incarnate here, before we're born, we do what we call pre-birth planning. Many religions talk about what happens after we die, or they're concerned about, where do we go, but not many philosophies or religions discuss pre-birth planning, which is very important. Pre-birth planning has to do with what we decide we want to experience, what lessons we want, who we want our parents to be, what we want to go through for our soul's evolution. So with the different lessons that we choose here, we decide different things to see what will serve us. A big reason why many of us come here is to experience separation, being separated from oneness. So that is always a big lesson. There's many other lessons, and each soul can choose whatever they want to work on in that incarnation. Things aren't always set in stone, though. There's always different paths a soul can choose to figure out what is best for that soul's growth. The paths aren't always set in stone. They can change as you make a decision. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so I really do feel like on a spiritual level, on an etheric plane, there are many paths laid out for us. On a 3D level, we're not really able to see those paths in front of us right now in this current reality, but there are many, many paths laid out. And in this current reality, we choose which path we would like to take. On an etheric plane, I feel like we could really take every single path all at the same time, but being in a human form on Earth in this body, we are only able to take basically one path at a time, which is why we're incarnated into this human form.
Also, I feel like as you make a decision, like let's say you choose to take train L instead of train B, as soon as you make a decision, you can change that path, and that's also laid out with the pre-birth planning, all the different possibilities of all the different lives or outcomes that you can have is what's done when you plan what you're going to do here, what lessons you're going to do here. You also pick your spirit guide team. You pick who's going to assist you along the path, because we have many spirit guides and helpers here. We're not just alone to guide us along the way. So I feel like they play a big role in our lives, and many of us don't take the time to get in tune with them, or aren't in tune with them, but they are here just as we're here walking down this path with us.
Yes, they are here to help assist. So sometimes we may be a little confused with like, okay, which path do I go down? Because currently we may have a couple different paths to choose from. And we're a little confused, okay, should I take path A, path B, path C? And you're like, all right, I just want to take all the paths, but you can't do that, and you can't kind of take both at the same time. You have to choose. So sometimes you may come into a big dilemma and you're just really unsure, and that's when you can totally connect with your guides, and they can help lead you within the right direction. When you connect with your higher self, allow your higher self to make that decision for you, not so much making the decision for you, but making the decision with you, because once you are one with your higher self, you're making the best decision for yourself and going down the exact path that you are meant to go down in your current reality.
So I guess we can kind of think of this as an Earth school. We're here incarnate, we pick our skin suit, and we're kind of like going to school. Okay, what am I doing today? What's my lesson? So in many ways, we could think of this as just a big school, a big learning center that we come to learn very important lessons.
Yes. So we come here, we're here on Earth, and we're learning lessons, and basically we're allowing our soul to grow. We're allowing our soul to get to the next level, to ascend, to get to a point where we can become one with Source, which is the ultimate goal, to become one with all. Right now, in human form, we see ourselves as being separate from everything else, And the whole point of that is to realize in this human form that the most important thing is to be able to connect with Source, be one with all. We're connected. I'm connected with Annie. I'm connected with you. I'm connected with every single thing on this planet. And we all need to start realizing that and get to a point where we all operate as one. That's where we are at our, I guess, tip-top, strength. That's where we are at the highest level. And it's really important keeping your frequency high, keeping your vibration high. That's the only way that you can get to the point where you can return to Source, so that way you don't have to keep coming back and going through these lessons over and over again. It's best to really learn from these lessons and allow yourself to grow.
So that's definitely one thing we definitely wanted to make a point of and drive home, that the soul has a choice, that you incarnate in Earth School. So that's one point that we just wanted to make clear, because the next stuff that we're going to talk about gets a little bit heavy, and it goes more into how the system was hijacked. So though what we just spoke about could very well be, the truth, could be the fact, could be the one answer, there is a belief, a very ancient belief going back to the Gnostics, going back to Plato, that the system has been hijacked by very dark entities. They call it the demiurge or the matrix. And what that means basically is that it's a construct. It's something used to spiritually keep us down and not evolve. And what the Archons, who are in charge of this system according to the Gnostics and ancient texts, what their role is to keep us from spiritually evolving, and to keep us in a system where we are continually reincarnating and keeping our souls trapped, you could say.
So incarnation versus reincarnation. Incarnation seems to be where you're basically incarnated to be in a trap, so you don't really get to choose. Then there's reincarnation, where you basically get to choose. So before you come here, you get to choose who your parents are going to be. You get to choose which body you'd like. You get to choose which ethnicity you are, and so on and so forth. You get to choose which lessons you'd like to learn in this lifetime.
So it seems like one of them, I guess the main thing with what you're discussing is, one of them you have free will, the other one you completely don't have any free will. So your free will is then hijacked, and it's almost like the soul is forced into the construct of reincarnating, right?
Right. So I guess my biggest question was basically reincarnation versus incarnation. Are we still trapped in the same system? So we're still in the same system, except one way we basically don't get to choose, and another way we get to kind of choose our poison. So what are your thoughts on that?
I think it could go both ways. Nobody really has the answer to that. We can speculate, because there's many things that can lead us to believe that we completely have free will, and there's many things that we'll go into shortly that can lead us to believe that this whole thing has been hijacked and the free will has been tampered with through many control systems. So it's kind of like, how much research can you do and how much can you speculate? Will we truly know what is going on? Do we have free will? Do we not have free will? And how much of our free will has been hijacked? So that's something that, we can research until we freaking pass out and just overwhelmed with knowledge. But it's a very important question to ask yourself, that the system might not just be, oh, it's all free will and you choose everything. It could very much have been tampered with and taken away our free will.
So what it boils down to is we're still in the same matrix, in the same system, and we still all basically have lessons to learn. The only issue is we've been hijacked. So we have to get to a point where we don't have to go through the cycles of being, incarnated, which means we're being recycled all the time, which means we're continually stuck in this trap. Since we are being recycled here into this matrix, that leads us to the next topic, which is the soul net, which is controlled by the Archons.
So basically, we touched upon it a little bit, but these archonic creatures are, I guess, what we can also call the reptilians or the Dracos, which is part of the control ET race that has been experimenting on humanity, experimenting biologically, and feels that it is their right, or they feel like they have some sort of claim or domination over humanity and over the planet, and they have thus created this soul trap, this net, and created this whole matrix demiurge control system to keep us from evolving, to keep us from realizing our power here as human beings, and keep us thinking that we're just that we're just 3D human beings without actually actualizing our power. And this is done through things like fluoride in the water, things like chemtrails, spraying to block out the sun, things like not letting us know about our pineal gland, not letting us know about innate psychic powers that we have, and keeping all that under wraps so that we don't actualize ourselves and don't go beyond the 3D experience.
And the way that we start to eradicate this matrix and we start to take the Archons out of their power is just this: discovering this information, becoming aware, and not allowing them to have that control and that power over us. It's about us raising up our frequency so that they cannot feed on our fear. And Annie will talk about how they feed on us, which is pretty interesting.
Well, so the one thing that these kind of lower vibration entities do is they use fear and control as a form of food. So if they keep us in constant fear, that's why we have the news reporting so many bad things. That's why these entities get involved in satanic pedophilic rituals. They feed off of that very, very innocent fear that is created during those rituals and during those very horrific things. That is what feeds them. It is sick, but it is part of their control system. They use it for control, and it's kind of their food. It gives them power. So the more that we're kept in fear of the news, in fear of earthquakes, in fear of not having enough money, all these fear systems are created for that exact reason, to keep us powerless and in a constant fear base that they can feed on.
Okay. So I wanted to read a little something here that I thought has great significance in what we are talking about right now. So a theme in Buddhism and Hinduism is a word Maya, which means illusion or the matrix. And another Buddhist teaching is that life contains suffering and that reincarnation is an endless cycle of suffering, the wheel of samsara, that can only be broken through spiritual practice, raising of one's consciousness. What do you think about that?
That sounds really bleak, but it does sound in line with exactly what we're discussing. And they could have very well been discussing or using this analogy to discuss that part of being here is suffering. Part of incarnating does involve a lot of suffering. And that very well could be because the system was hijacked. Because let's face it, we came here not saying, yeah, we want to suffer. We came here saying we want to have fun. We want to go to Earth School and have fun and be happy and experience all there is to experience. Yes, we wanted to experience the bad, but I don't think we just wanted it to be all suffering. I don't think 3D means all suffering. So I think that has to do with the system being hijacked.
Yeah, I really do think it's interesting that they bring up suffering. Yeah. And what my mind is tying that to is suffering, which means the matrix being ruled by the Archons and basically feeding off of us. And the only way we could break that is by raising of one's consciousness, which means us raising our frequency, raising our vibration so that they could no longer feed on us. So staying in a positive state of mind and practicing almost like you're a monk. Meditation, just happy, positive all day. How easy is that? It's not really easy nowadays. So the Archons are very well fed. Yeah, that's for sure.
I think the construct that has been designed Not that everything is pain and suffering here in this world, of course. You know, we have duality, but there is a lot of setups in the matrix to keep us down. And also, one very important thing that I kind of discussed a little, like just touched upon earlier, is the pineal gland. The pineal gland is like the doorway that bridges the 3D and the connection to oneness, to all that is. If we actually knew and used our pineal gland, we would have no limitation. We wouldn't experience separation, which is the reason why many of us suffer, because we come here and we get cut off from source and we experience separation. And that's part of that archonic or Draco-reptilian system, to feed into the disconnection from source. Because if we don't feel connected, that's how people feel alone. That's how addictions start. Anger, hatred for others, lack of empathy. So that keeps feeding that wheel. The separation and aloneness keeps people mad, angry, and upset, and unable to open up their own internal powers.
Yes, Annie, and I'm just reading through my notes now, and I'm reading the pineal gland is located in the brain. It's also known as the mind's eye, and basically it is being calcified with the introduction of fluoride into our water, which we talked about earlier. Annie mentioned the fluoride in the water, so that basically shuts off your third eye. It's so important that you keep that open and make sure that you find a way to drink water that's free of fluoride. That's a very next important step for everyone who's now awakening.
Very much. A really good tip is reverse osmosis filters are very good for that. So for anybody looking to, take the fluoride out of the water, reverse osmosis.
Mm-hmm. So we were just talking about the pineal gland, which leads me to the heart. And the heart is the body's most powerful electromagnetic field. It just knows.
So that's great that you just discussed the idea of the heart and how important it is, because that will lead me into the next topic that I wanted to discuss, and that is the AI component. So when we look at the matrix, or the demiurge, whatever you'd like to call it, the archonic control grid, we have to consider the idea that, this construct was manipulated or infected by AI. There is a lot of speculation about an AI component, a lot of whistleblowers, and a lot of people that have had the experience to go behind the scenes into what these Dracos, what these Archons do. They have discussed the idea of quantum computing and the idea of an AI system that is part of the matrix. And for example, somebody that Crystal and I follow and study, Aug Tellez, he discusses the AI component and quantum computing and how it's used to kind of keep track of everybody, and is aware of where everybody is at all times. And it's very, very much connected to the heart. The heart is the key to it all. So if you kind of have, if you are an Archon or a reptilian Draco, one of these very, very powerful, dark, sick entities, and you control the most important powerhouse that you just discussed, the heart, I mean, it goes to tell you something, that they're really, really going for control here, all-out control over the human experience, and keeping our evolution completely overran by their control system.
Absolutely. So us having this knowledge, awareness, knowing that they're trying to suppress the pineal gland, suppress the heart, which is so important within our human body. It's very, very powerful. It's more powerful than we would ever know.
Suppressing the human heart is, many people don't often think of that, They're so busy just trying to live in this control system, working 9-to-5 jobs, then sitting in traffic to get home, and they're so part of the construct that they don't have the time to even think about these things that we're discussing right now. And that's exactly what they do with money and with the control system. They keep people so enslaved so that it's so hard to even think about concepts like this that we're discussing.
It's lots of stuff to just keep you distracted from the truth, keep you distracted from what's most important. and keep you distracted from growing, from actually getting to a point where you can stop this cycle of having to come back and reincarnating. You shouldn't have to keep doing this over and over and over again. You know, you should, like, it's excessive. And it keeps you here so that they can continue to keep you trapped to say, haha, we have power over you. It's all ego driven. So it's something to keep them in power and to keep us trapped. And we don't need to be trapped. We can very well stop this by raising our consciousness, like in the Buddhist teaching, Hinduism. We can really break this by raising our vibration.
And that's what's happening right now. That's why we're here. That's why many people feel pulled to talk, to put their voice out there, to put their faces out there and say, this is the Great Awakening. This is happening right now. Humanity is waking up in mass. And this is happening against the control system. So it is so important to get these topics out and to discuss all of these things, because the more we know what we're dealing with.
Exactly. The more we know we're dealing with, then the more we're awakening. And the more steps we could take to basically, you know, keep the fluoride out of our water and connect with our heart and be okay with meditating and balancing our chakras and being aware of these things and knowing that it's important that we keep this as a daily practice. You think it's very important to wake up in the morning and to get in your car and drive to work to make money. Well, it's 10 times more important, or 100 times, a million times more important to actually get up and balance yourself and make sure that you are totally in tune with your body and you keep your frequency high up. Because you really want to continue to get in your car lifetime after lifetime and drive to work and make money. That's just, it's so little compared to the infinite possibilities that we could be tapped into. It's so little compared to how we could all be joined as one and be connected at source and not have to worry about money, not have to worry about worrying, not have to worry about stressing, you know, just be connected and just be in that state of pure joy and happiness. Isn't that what we'll always strive for? And you know, you wake up every morning thinking that, oh, this next thing will bring me joy, this next thing will bring me happiness, and typically it's connected to money, and it's always the next thing, the next thing, and the next thing, and it never ever brings you that fulfillment or joy, because if it did, you wouldn't be here right now.
And it's never the now. We don't live in the now. We think of tomorrow or when we have enough money, like you said.
Exactly. So when you're living in the future, you're pretty much setting yourself up to be depressed, or you're living in the past. You're setting yourself up to have anxiety, to be depressed, to not be accepting of your now moment. You don't have a worry in the world in the now. Think about it. You're in the now. You have really nothing to think about. You're just here. You're existing. You're in this now moment. You're listening to this video. You're in this moment. What are you worried about? Just listening. You're existing. You're connected with pure source. That is pure source. That is you connecting, being one, living in this now moment. So you practicing every single day, living moment to moment. You shouldn't have a care. There's nothing to really care about but just choosing to have the best moments in your now reality.
And part of that is also, you know, realizing what feeds the machine, which is fear, low vibration, and everything that Crystal said, also unplugging from your TV, unplugging from, you know, these control systems. You know, we know there's very horrible things going on in the world, and we're not saying to ignore it. We're just saying to unplug from what the box in your living room is telling you, because the box in your living room is constructed to bring a lot of lies and constructed to bring a lot of fear. So if you unplug from that, also as part of it, you unplug from that control system. You do your own research and you find out so much that has been suppressed and hidden from you.
We're being bombarded by so much right now. Like, for example, our cell phones emit deadly radiation. But there is a way to actually help with that. If you surround yourself with crystals, there's actually a special stone you can attach to your phone. It's called
shungite.
Shungite
is very powerful. Shungite helps kind of manipulate the energy that is being emitted from cell phones from harming you. It is very powerful, and not only do people put it in their water to kind of like as a purifier to purify from fluoride, but it's also used against electromagnetic signals like that from your cell phone and from your computer and the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, so there are, steps you could take and follow to make sure that you're keeping yourself balanced and you're keeping your frequency high, because a lot of these things lower your frequency. The more you're on your cell phone, you notice that it's almost like, I don't know if people out there experience this, but the more I'm on my cell phone, I start to feel myself get really low and kind of like foggy, like not tapped into reality. And I really do believe it's because of the radiation that's taken me over, and it lowers me. So just take a lot of breaks. If you're at work and you're staring at a computer screen all day long, I would suggest that you not only take breaks, but another stone that's really good for that is orgonite, and you can keep that right by your computer, and it will help the negative Wi-Fi signals. No one rules if no one obeys. That is a quote from David Icke, and we all need to follow that, because if we do not obey, we will not be ruled by these Archons, okay? Don't obey.
And that's part of the system. It keeps people asleep so that they obey, and they don't even know what they're obeying to. That's why there's all these subliminal things. They have to tell us what they're doing. So it's hidden in plain sight, and it's hidden in movies, and it's hidden in a lot of things that are put out there. But it's in symbology. It's with symbols, and it's with soft disclosure in movies, so that we don't really know what we're agreeing to. And that's the whole weird, sick part of it, that most people don't know if they're obeying or listening to this. But that's that weird, kooky rule that many people like David Wilcock and David Icke and all these truthers talk about. Yeah. They tell us things in plain sight, but many people don't get it. So start getting it, people. Start waking up your friends and family.
Yeah, it's really important that you understand that a lot of these symbols, like Annie, could you give an example of just an everyday symbol we look at?
So one of the symbols is the Freemason symbol. It's all over the place. That's just a symbol of Freemasonry, 33rd degree Freemasonry, which is all over the place. Another symbol is the all-seeing eye. They put that in everything. Everybody, all the movie stars go like this, Lil Wayne, what's up? That's not just like a cool symbol. That's a very ancient Illuminati symbol of the all-seeing eye, which is on our money. The pyramid is another one. It's everywhere. Washington, D.C. is riddled with symbols. I mean, the whole thing, you can map it out, full of symbols. There's the Bohemian Grove with Moloch. Moloch is that owl entity. The owl is all over the place. So those are just some things that, are thrown out there. Also, things hidden in plain sight. There was actually, right when all the tornadoes were happening, they put out a movie not too long ago, which I will have to find the name. I'm not coming up with it. But there was a movie about disasters happening by weather modification. Hello, HARP.
Hello.
So, can't get more obvious than that. They literally put out a movie right after the tornadoes that hit the Caribbean, that hit Puerto Rico, Texas. They made a movie about weather modification, and many people don't realize they have weather modification, and they told us about it.
So it's all in our face. It's not like they're coming out and saying, hey, this is the truth. What's in your face is what's going on. But it's just kind of like a slick way of just being like, hey, this is going on.
We modify our weather.
We modify our weather a little bit. We leave some chemtrails in the air, to keep you asleep. Hey. Yeah, that's what's going on.
It's really sick, and nowhere are we making light of it. We're just saying these are just common things that we can just pull off the top of our head that are just common, that happen, that are, movies made about these things, that are symbols that are dropped. And it's just like, you wouldn't even believe. That's another video about, Illuminati symbolism. That is a whole separate video, which we'll gladly get into Illuminati symbolism, but it's very much there. They put stuff in plain sight, and they kind of laugh behind our backs, like, haha, these dumb idiots. They're not even paying attention because they keep most people asleep. So another analogy or way of looking at this, which actually came through a QHHT session with Geraldine Orozco that she did with Abba Weinman, is we can look at this as a cell. We can look at this as a virus. Crystal, some more on that?
So basically, we look at the planet as a cell, and we're basically cells within this planet. And the Archons can be looked at more like viruses. So viruses coming that attack us and attack the planet.
So this whole idea of a virus, we can look at it as the system getting hijacked, as we discussed, and we can also look at it as the whole AI component of it, as something that was pure, that was organic, and that was meant for soul evolution, and then it getting hijacked through a control system and getting hijacked through AI, which right now, if we really do our research, CERN has quantum computing. So the whole idea of quantum computing that I'm discussing is not just, some far off thing that we don't have. We have the capability of quantum computing. And the newest one, if I'm not mistaken, is the 4096. And it is able to break through space-time continuum and communicate through space-time. So all these concepts that we're discussing are not far off in the future concepts. They're concepts and things that are actually here now, that, the controllers, the Archons, the reptilians, the Dracos, whatever you want to call them, that they are using right now. So another really, really awesome point that Geraldine made in her QHHT is about connection to source, with which Crystal is going to go into a little bit.
Yes, so I have the notes here. So basically, she states that we must create connection to source and transmute source into others to wake others. I think that's really, really important. It's
extremely important. So basically is we must break through the separation where, skin color, regions, everything separates us, and we must go back to the idea that we're all one. So with that idea, we're not separate from source, and everybody is a part of source, therefore they're a part of us. Mm-hmm. So we cannot look at them as separate or different, and that's a very tough one for looking at the bad people as one, but that is just part of our growth that we have to integrate in some way.
Right, it's looking at it as, so everything is basically duality, there's the bad, the good, but we need to get to the point where everything is one. So the bad and the good is needed, it's needed to balance each other like yin and yang. There really is no labels. So when you say bad and good, it's really acknowledging that there is separation and acknowledging that we are separate from others when there's good and bad, black and white, yin and yang in all of us. So it's accepting that we are everything. We are one. We are the dark. We are the light. We are the bad. We are the good. We are just every single thing that's going on right now. We embody that, and we have to be accepting of that, and really understand that that's what connects us to source. And once we connect to source, that duality, it doesn't affect us. We no longer can be a part of this matrix. That's when we truly break free.
And what also something I just wanted to clear up, When we say that we are one and we have to accept it, it doesn't mean that we condone it or say it's good. It means that we accept that they are being of service. Mm-hmm. The dark is being of service, and it's showing us, is this what you want to allow in your society? Right. Much like Hitler is, he served as a catalyst. Is this what society wanted at that time? Same thing is happening right now, and same thing is happening with these control systems. They show us what we will and will not accept in this 3D reality. And right now we're being shown, do you want these endless wars? Do you want all this chaos? Is this something that you condone? So not to accept it, but to accept that these beings are of service to show us what we don't want.
Right, so they're here to show us what we do not want. And we're here to be accepted. We are here to understand that we are here to grow. We are here to learn. We are here to live, to experience, to ascend, to become one. And in order to do that, we must accept our lessons, and we must accept that these lessons are here to help us become one with that true joy essence. We have to know, we have to understand that these lessons that we're experiencing now are here to help us, whether we label it as good, bad, evil, dark, light. Everything is here to help us. Everything.
Yeah, everything is a lesson, and with that, the kind of like to tie it all in, what is occurring right now, which we mentioned, which is a mass awakening, is the liberation of the planet. So although we spoke about a lot of evil and very controlling systems that are in place, what is happening is the ascension of the planet, the ascension of humanity, the Great Awakening. And so what this ties into is we're breaking through that control system, and the dark is dismantling and everything will be shown. So all of this matrix, this AI, this control system, it's all being shown and will be shown even more. That's what's happening right now with government and just all different aspects. We are seeing the control system break down because of the Great Awakening. So there is the purpose, there is the reason for all of this.
Right, there is a purpose and reason behind all of this. So we look at it like, okay, the matrix is here. Why is it here? Why do we have to go through this? And it's pretty simple, because that's the lesson we have to go through.
Biggest lesson ever.
The biggest lesson ever, and we should be extremely grateful for this lesson, because this is going to lead us to being complete.
The next phase, which is what we are all working towards, which is a 5D unified reality, where we're not separate from source or separate from each other, where we all work together without the matrix, the control system, and we all help each other and coexist in perfect harmony.
Exactly. I kind of look at it like I did something bad, I'm going to jail, I spend like 8 years in prison, and I just have to sit there with myself and suffer and basically really take the time to learn and to grow. And there are some prisoners who, they learn a great deal while they're in prison, and they change for the better, and they actually are happy about it. They're happy that, they committed their crime and went to jail and had to take that time to really become an enlightened individual and to learn from their mistakes. They had to learn the hard way. I know I have to learn a lot the hard way. I'm not saying I'm going to do something crazy and go to prison. But we
metaphor, guys.
It's just a metaphor. Not that crazy. So we all
Although we are Scorpios. But
yeah, we are Scorpios. So that kind of makes us a little crazy.
A little bit.
But, we're good.
Nobody's going to go to jail.
No big deal, So I just really do feel like we all have different ways of learning, and us here currently in this matrix, we're all here because we're learning the hard way. And the only way we're going to be able to ascend is if we learn this lesson hard and we learn it well. And we will get there. We are getting there. And the fact that you're listening to this video right now means that you're a part of this, and you're also you're on your way to getting there as well. So congratulations, and we're all here to support each other. We're all here to break through, to break free, and
speak our truth.
We're here to speak our truth. This is just how we feel. It's just our opinions and what we believe.
Thank you guys so much for listening. If you have any questions or want to get in touch with us, feel free to email us. Our email is on our About page. Feel free to connect on Facebook or Instagram. We're always open to discussing things, and we'll always answer. So thank you for listening.
We're here for you guys. So thanks again, and we'll see